Hi, it's so twice. We're here for our third episode of How to Train Your Dragon.
Race to the Edge.
Yeah.
So in this one, we're going to talk about all the new characters that are introduced, that were introduced in Riders of Berk and Defenders of Berk, and the new ones that are introduced in Race to the Edge, which are all the villains.
Right.
I think we'll just stick to the villains. Like, if people want to ask questions about others, we maybe put that in the comments or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's stick to the villains, because we're going to try and, we're hoping to wrap things up in this video.
Yes.
But thank you everyone who's been here so far.
Yes, thank you. You are all fantastic.
So,
I love you all. Thank you.
I think I'll start by talking about them because I saw them first with the episodes.
Yes.
And then you can say your reaction because you were meeting them.
Right. It was for me. It was the first time because I haven't seen Riders of Berk or Defenders of Berk, so it was very interesting for me to see it. So
yeah. Okay.
Take it away with you.
So two characters that are brought up who are actually very important. So you may want to look them up when they first start. Is a character named Dagger, also known as Dagger the Deranged, and character named Heather. Those are the two supporting characters who were introduced. Dagger the Deranged in the original Riders to Berk was kind of this huge bully to Hiccup. He came from a tribe called the Berserker tribe. He's slightly crazy, and when I say slightly, I mean definitely.
A lot.
In his introductory episode, the first thing we find out about him is he killed his father.
As you do.
He has bullied Hiccup for years. And because Riders of Berk happens like right after How to Train Your Dragon, so actually one of the things I did like about it is they do reference the first movie. Like there are a lot of people who came on saying, "Wait, why are you guys not fighting dragons anymore? What happened? What happened around here?" And Dagger basically, because Dagger finds out that Hiccup killed the Red Death, and he's just like, "How did this happen?"
A does not equal B.
Yeah, so there's a huge antagonistic relationship that they're basically enemies throughout the whole Riders of Berk. The first episode of Race to the Edge, he's breaking out of prison, and he's like, "We gotta go meet again, Hiccup." So that's your introduction to Dagger in the Race to the Edge, which, funny enough, I do think that you kind of get the idea that he probably had an antagonistic relationship with Hiccup before, so, I mean, that you do get.
Well, because that's what I got, because I'm watching this, right, for the first time,
yeah.
I'm sitting there going, what?
Who is this red-haired freak?
What is he doing? He's awesome, but I don't know how to feel about it. So I'm texting Ellen, like, going, what is this guy up to? What is his angle? So, like, that was my reaction.
In his introduction, he said he killed his father. Just straight up says it.
And you're just like, you know, like, "Hi, my name's Dagger, killed my father, how are you doing?" And you're like, oh.
You joke, but that's pretty much what happened. That's pretty much what happened.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it.
But what's kind of great for me, being a long-time watcher, is in the first kind of 2 seasons, like, Dagger is kind of the same exact person, which is funny, which is great, because I'm like, Dagger's kind of the person you laugh at and you love to hate and all that, but he actually goes through some serious character development in this series, which I super appreciated and was really surprised by. Dagger really, like, he starts out very antagonistic to Hiccup, but he actually kind of mellows out. He ends up getting his own dragon. He meets family members that he didn't realize he had. We'll talk about his family members that he didn't realize he had in a moment. I'll just spoil it. We find out that Heather is his long-lost sister. We also meet in the... We also met in Riders of Berk. But the point I'm trying to get across is he has some seriously great character development, forms some really genuine relationships, like, and you really get to see it. And one of the things that I personally loved is even in Riders of Berk, he constantly calls Hiccup brother, and it's kind of disturbing, actually, when you do it in Riders of Berk, because he's constantly trying to kill Hiccup, and he's calling him brother at the same time.
I never understood that, honestly, but
he basically has this kind of obsessive love with Hiccup in the first Riders of Berk and Defenders of Berk, and he kind of at the beginning of Race to the Edge. But it's more like an obsessive familiar love. Like, it's not romantic at all, definitely.
Right,
It's obsessive for familiar love. But one of the things that's great is they actually start to bond later on, Dagger and Hiccup just a little bit, which is just great. So he's a really interesting character, and I think that I really love his development. Heather, on the other hand, she's only in one episode of Riders of Berk. She's a girl who is from a different tribe. We don't know very much about her tribe, but she's from a different tribe. She becomes friends with the Dragon Riders, and then kind of goes off, and we never really see her again. Well, she comes back in the season.
She is so badass. Oh my gosh! She comes in, and I was just like, damn. Yes, good. Yes, queen. Slay. Keep doing your thing. It was, oh my gosh, it was incredible. It was incredible.
You want to talk about her dragon?
Windshear is bae. Windshear is a dragon made of metal and has a whip-like tail with barbs on it that can slash through trees, and you're watching it, and you're like, I want one. In fact, Tough Nut proposes to her dragon, which, that was interesting. I was like, all right, I didn't see that coming.
By the time you get there, you're not even surprised, though.
Yeah. I mean, Windshear is this incredible, what was her species again?
Razor whip.
Razor whip. Yes.
Trust me, I got this down.
You have this down to a science. And I'm still very new to this all, so I don't have it completely memorized, but man, oh my gosh. And you do find out, because I thought that it was kind of like a Night Fury situation where she was the only Razor whip out there, and you find out that no, there actually are other Razor whips.
From what we know, and that's another thing to quickly bring up.
Right.
You do see other members of their species. Like, you do see other, let's see, you do see other versions of, why am I blanking on some of these?
Gronkles, you'll see other, we really don't see that many other Zipplebacks, maybe one or two.
No, not really, but we know they're out there.
Right, but we do know that there are...
From what we've been told, only Night Furies are the really, really endangered species.
Right, because you see Natterheads all the time.
Yeah, you see...
Terrible Terrors.
Yeah. So basically, and what is Hookfang's dragon species? I'm blanking for a moment.
Monstrous Nightmare.
Yes. So from what we know of this world, this kind of world that we do, basically every dragon species is pretty prosperous at this time, except for Night Furies.
Which I really hope that in the third movie that we'll get to see a few more Night Furies.
Yeah. But going back to Heather real quick.
Yes, going back to Heather. Yes.
Stay on topic.
She is just... Sorry, guys. It's hard! But just... No, Heather was just... So for me, this introduction of her, she is so badass, and she forms this beautiful fighter girl relationship, friendship with Astrid.
The shield maidens of the universe.
Actually, though, they kick butt, take names later. It is the greatest thing you've ever seen, and then, you find out that Heather actually has feelings for Fish Legs. It's mutual, and they almost kiss. They were this close.
Yep.
This close.
Yep. So I do really hope that she gets brought into the third movie, because that would be great.
I need her to be brought into the third movie. But what I find so interesting, and this is another quick tangent, is that, in the second movie, both Fish Legs and Snotlout are trying to go for Rough Nut. And I'm just now seeing the TV series, or the Netflix series, I'm going, Fish Legs, what you doing? You got Bay.
Now, obviously, to be fair, the movie came out first before the TV series.
Right.
That's obvious and makes sense. So hopefully there's going to be a connection between those to explain why this happened.
Right.
What I'm guessing is that Snot Loud is, well, I like to think that Snot Loud's kind of interest in Rough Nut is a bit genuine, because we do see, I honestly think those two would work together. Basically because Snot Loud is just, like, used to being, like, thrown around, and Rough Nut would just do that to anyone.
Right.
So I do think that that's going to happen. But, yeah, I do hope there's a bit of connection to explain how that happened, because it really did feel like they were on the start of a really solid couple relationship, except for the fact that they got separated at some point.
Yes, and it was unfortunate. It was because when, first when...
We find out that Heather and Dagger are siblings, and they are both technically still in charge of the Berserker tribe, even though we don't know anything about this Berserker tribe, but we can just imagine it's a shit show.
It is a shit show.
Because Dagger's in charge of it.
It is a shit show.
It's a shit show.
Which I feel like Heather would be the one that keeps everybody alive, essentially. She is very similar. She's both similar to Astrid in the Kick-Ass department, and then with Hiccup in the Take Charge and Lead department.
Yeah.
Her difference is that she is very driven by anger and revenge and hurt, which it makes sense, because Dagger, before he realized that they were siblings, essentially destroyed her adopted island and her adopted family. And so when
I think he knew.
Really?
Yeah. I think he knew. I think he thought that they kidnapped her.
How dare you blow my mind like this on camera?
I think that's the reason he attacked their village.
Because he didn't seem that surprised at all when You need to talk. I'm gonna sit upon this for a moment.
So, to be fair, we don't get a lot of background on when it happens, but we do find out that Heather and Dagger are brothers and sisters. We also know, because remember how I mentioned that the first time we see Dagger, he says he killed his father. So we know that, and there's actual hints near the end of the series that their father actually might still be alive. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking we're going to meet him eventually. So I think that's going to be interesting. So yeah, Dagger is definitely not the nicest or sanest person out there. And to be fair, they kind of do forget that he just destroyed an entire village, possibly just for the sake of getting Heather. So that is a tiny problem. But at the same time, they do form a very genuine relationship. Because when Heather first, because at one point, after they find out, Heather kind of goes and teams up with Dagger for the purpose of killing him, but actually ends up forming a very genuine sibling relationship that's believable, and really, really beautiful. So I think that this is what I'm basically trying to say is the series does create a lot of great supporting characters. They're they're really well done. They're really well. I just love them. I think they're great.
They're fantastic. Do we want to talk about Viggo quickly?
Yeah. So they get a villain,
and he is fantastic. He is cunning. He is conniving. He has everything. He has a step.
If you had a problem with Drago, because a lot of people did, and I think he's going to get better in the third movie. But if you had a problem with him,
Viggo makes up for it.
Tenfold.
Tenfold. Viggo is like the Moriarty.
He actually is
of the Dragon world.
Most of the confrontation, like he rarely actually fights, like does physical fights. It's mostly mind games between him and Hiccup, and you really see that at least at the beginning. Viggo is much smarter than Hiccup.
Oh yeah,
he's like he's much smarter than him, and he really gets Hiccup good. Mm-hmm. And the thing about it, and because this is something that was brought up a lot in Riders of Berk and Defenders of Berk, and this too, Hiccup is very, very smart, and we know this. Right. And most of the time, and that's the thing, and the advantage that Hiccup has over most Viking tribes is most Vikings are kind of like the rest of them, where they kind of like go forward and fight, and Hiccup is just much better at out-maneuvering and outsmarting them and stuff like that, and that's where he had it. But Viggo is amazingly smart, amazingly calculated, and is ruthless, and is just and his introduction is just amazing. Like, it's like a Shakespearean introduction.
And he looks like a Shakespearean villain.
He kind of does. He's very slim. in comparison to a lot of the
right.
other villains. He's very slim. He doesn't look like there's nothing in his physicality that screams, I'm an evil villain.
But it's the way he carries himself that you're
amazing.
Like, wait a second. The moment he comes on screen, you're like, oh shit.
And the voice for him, oh my god. It's perfect. I'm very, and again, in the future, we're gonna know all the voice actors' names by then. We should write it down. I'm gonna blank on his name. He was Dr. Octopus in Spider-Man 2. But whoever that actor is, he brings this velvety, smooth, seductive voice that's just amazingly well done.
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
The moment you hear it, you sit there and you're like, oh, I'm gonna get fucked up.
Yeah.
This isn't gonna end well for me. But you want to see where it goes.
Yeah, and one of the things that's interesting for me with Viggo was that he's a part of a brother relationship, and he's the younger brother in that situation. And he's kind of, he's definitely the brains of the situation. But what's really cool is with Viggo is they've really created just this commanding presence for him every time he's on screen. And I kind of say this about Stoic, too, which shows a sign of good leadership. But basically, every time he's on screen, you're just watching him the entire time. And I really think that he just really keeps that presence throughout the whole thing. I do think his introduction and his first couple of the first couple of times you see him might be his best. Because I don't think he goes downhill, but I do think that it's just such a shock to meet this character and to just realize how powerful he is in his own way. So yeah, I think that if you're looking for a really good How to Train Your Dragon villain, I think Viggo is great. I really hope that the people who are in charge of the movies paid attention. I hope that they watched, because if they really want to develop Drago, I think that was a really good start. Obviously, don't make him the same, because he can't be. No. But sort of in the same way. And one of the things that I've noticed, and then I think Gustav has also noticed, is Drago is never mentioned by names, but there's actually quite a few hints that he's out there. Yep. There's two specific ones. One is there's one time where Viggo mentions, like, I don't want to take over the world, unlike some men. Which, of course, is a reference to Drago's, like, wanting to be king. Right. The other one, which someone brought up to me, which is brilliant, there's this one scene where Hiccup is, where someone is trying to brand Hiccup, and if you look at the brand, it is, Eric, son of Ericsson's brand. Oh, it's the exact same brand. So what I think is that Viggo might be one of the people who starts selling dragons to Drago, and maybe Drago gives some of his men to help him do it. So what I love is it doesn't outrightly say it, so don't say it outrightly says it, but it gives you the idea of this kind of crime syndicate that's forming in the archipelago. You kind of get the idea that everything might just be connected to each other, which is just great. It's a wonderful bit of
great storytelling. Yeah, world building storytelling. It's fabulous. But that is all the time we have for now. So thank you so much for coming and doing this.
Should we do one more video just to wrap it up? Or do you think this is enough? Or is this good?
I think this is good.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and thank you so much for coming. Thank you guys so much for watching and sticking with us. And as you can tell, we're still very new at this, but we're learning as we're going, and it's fun. So anyway,
so if you've seen How to Train Your Dragon Race to the Edge, tell us what you thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Click subscribe, do all the things. Love you guys so much. Thank you so much, and have a good one. So the golden sound twice out. Yeah.
Awesome.